Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. Hey, baby.
Hello there.
How you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Good. It's a hump day. You know, we're halfway through the week, and we've got a special guest coming up today that I'm really excited to visit with, Madelon Curtis. She's got a movie coming out called Caged No More, and this is a very serious movie. Now, the name Madelon Curtis might, if that means something to you, that's awesome, but if it doesn't, it's going to after today. First of all, she was in one of the Friday the 13th movies. Okay. So, you know, if you are a fan of that series. And then she was also a professional cheerleader for the New England Patriots. She's been a dancer and an actress, and now she's in this new movie. Fascinating lady. I am really looking forward to chatting with her. Again, Madelon Curtis, and her movie is called Caged No More. We'll be chatting with her later in the show. During the county fair season, there's some strange foods that come out, Heidi.
Oh, yeah, always. Every year.
The strangest creations this year, I don't know, maybe this isn't the strangest, but one that's appearing in Manhattan, Montana is mashed potato ice cream.
Oh, yuck.
Do you eat that with gravy or syrup?
That's gross.
Mashed potato ice cream. You know, there's a part of me that says I want to try that.
You would, too.
Yeah, I have to scoop
You try all those weird
I do.
fair foods.
I like weird stuff. Coming up, we're going to find out what special things are happening today. That is on the way.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Wednesday, August the 31st. It's the last day of the month.
I know.
Tomorrow is September.
I know.
I'll see you in September. Well, that's tomorrow already. Hey, today is International Overdose Awareness Day.
Okay.
It is Love Litigating Lawyers Day. That's kind of actually fun to say. Love Litigating Lawyers. It is National Matchmakers Day, and it is Tug of War Day. And we're going to find out later, but I'll tell you right now. Did you know that tug of war was actually an Olympic sport at one point?
I did know that.
It's going to be in our fun facts for today as well, but I thought that was kind of interesting. So I just showed my hand.
Shared it early.
Yeah, you got some of that. Well, I had to tell you, since it is Tug of War Day. All right, coming up, we've got some more fun things to chat about on this Wednesday, and we appreciate you listening on this special day, the 31st of August. It's a Wednesday. Thanks for joining us.
John and Heidi.
Email marketing is affordable and a proven way to grow your business. If it's done right, you can stay in contact with your customers to let them know when you have new things to offer. You stay in control the whole time, too. You decide when the messages are sent, and you decide what is being said. So you're constantly in control of your business image. You can do this, but don't try it on your own. Team up with one of the biggest names in email marketing, Constant Contact. Sign up for a free trial right now at radiosavings.com. Sign up now at radiosavings.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. If you feel like maybe your neighborhood's getting a little too crowded and you want a little bit of room for yourself, here's a place you might want to move. How about the moon?
Oh my gosh, really?
I don't think you can move there, but a real estate agent has land on the moon for sale. It's $22 to buy a 1-acre plot on the moon. Yeah. What would you do with a 1-acre plot on the moon?
And who says it's his to sell?
He claimed it. They staked claim to it, and then they can start selling it.
How do you stake claim to it without going there?
Well, I don't think he had to be there. I think you just have to officially announce, I stake claim to the moon. It's kind of like, called it. The moon. Called it. It's mine. I get the moon. I don't know how it works. Anyway.
I guess I'm surprised that the government didn't do that.
I don't know. All of the details are out there somewhere, I'm sure. But his website is moonestates.com. They offer ownership as well as mineral rights to the land on the lit side of the moon, which is visible from Earth. Buyers will also receive a lunar constitution and Bill of Rights, along with a map pinpointing the location of their site. Dennis Hope, who laid claim to the entire land surface of the moon 20 years ago, opened the agency. He lodged his claim with the U.S. and former USSR governments. Since then, guess how many plots he has sold?
I would assume a lot.
More than 300,000. Many of the buyers are people that are just regular folks like us, but there are some very famous buyers too, like many people from the Star Trek cast own plots on the moon. It's only $22 to buy a plot.
Right. Well, I was even thinking I wouldn't mind owning.
Clint Eastwood owns a little plot on the moon, and several NASA employees. The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 bans nations from owning territory in space, but is silent on individuals. So that's why the United States or a different country didn't say, hey, we own it. So this man, 20 years ago, said, I claim the moon. So can I claim Pluto or something?
That's really bizarre.
I'd like to just stake claim to Pluto. You guys don't even think it's a planet anymore. I'll take it. I like Pluto.
Well, you certainly could, and then start selling.
I wonder if anybody owns Pluto. If
land.
not, we'll get it and we'll rename it the John and Heidi planet.
I wonder if you could do that to any of them.
I don't
then
know. I don't know
I'm
how that
surprised
works.
that other people haven't. That's a really nice get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah, $22 an acre. All right.
Right,
all
but
I
if
know,
he sold 300,000 of
I
them,
know.
that's he's making bank.
That's some serious.
Yeah.
This is pretty. All right. You know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. Hernando, Florida. A woman could face charges of cultivation and possession of marijuana. The next-door neighbors told deputies the plants were in plain view in her backyard. Then he took them to the backyard where they reportedly could easily be seen, about a dozen pot plants growing right next to a hot tub. Inside the woman's home, deputies said they found some partially smoked joints and a baggie containing marijuana. The alleged pot grower said she knew nothing about the marijuana plants. She told deputies she was growing it to gain weight after an injury. What?
How would that help her gain?
I don't know.
Because it gives her the munchies?
Apparently. She was taken to Citrus County Jail, and her bail was set at $10,000. How could she say, I don't know anything about it, but here's why I was growing them?
Right.
Wait a minute. You don't know, or you do know? I don't know. All right. Coming up, we've got your brain on drugs. We've got your scoop of the day, and an interview with Madelon Curtis. That's all on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
I've long been a proponent of dads spending more time with their kids. You know, so this next story, maybe not the best. Maybe not be the best example of that. Gainesville, Florida, a 38-year-old father asked his daughter to turn off the computer. He allegedly used racist and sexist terms in his request, so she fired back with some colorful language of her own. So then he threw a pizza at her and hit her in the back of the neck. She called the police. Dad was arrested on charges of child abuse without great harm and a third-degree felony. So, you know, some more father-daughter time. It's what these two need. So he wanted her to turn off the computer. He used racist and sexist terms. I'm not sure what that would be exactly.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't they be? Not necessarily, I suppose. I
have no clue.
Assuming that they would be the same race, but that's not necessarily the case.
In my mind, I'm trying to picture what he was saying to get her to turn off the computer. I haven't come up with one yet, but somehow that all got thrown in there. And then the pizza flew across the room, and next thing you know, Dad's in trouble. So, dads, spend more time with your kids, but don't throw pizza at them or any negative terms like that. Do it in a nice way.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
How many times did he have to request it?
I don't know.
Before he got so angry
I
that
believe
he had to start screaming racist and sexist
Let me
terms
look
at his daughter.
in my father handbook here. Right here, page 15. After asking 4 times, you can throw pizza at them.
Because as the parent of 2 teenagers,
no, you don't ever. You never throw pizza at them.
Well,
no,
depends on the circumstance.
Never, ever throw pizza at the kids. Just don't do it. All right, we have your scoop. Oh boy,
I'm just trying to come to the guy's defense here a little.
There is no defense. All right, we have your scoop of the day on the way.
The scoop of the day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now, your scoop of the day. A major TV broadcaster in Britain shut down for an hour the other day in order to encourage people to get some exercise. So they're saying, we are so fascinating that you can't get off the sofa because we have your attention completely. We're going to turn off for an hour so you'll get off that sofa and leave.
Yeah, and how many of the people do you suppose did that?
Yeah, I bet
They're
none.
like, oh, good, now I can go in and cook something in the kitchen, and by the time I get done, my show will be back on.
So what they should have done is put something on during that hour and, guilting you into going out and getting exercise. That would have
exercise show.
Anything would have been better.
Video.
We're going to just turn off the TV for an hour. Really? I don't think that's a good plan. Hey, for those of you looking for an education and a place to partay, you might want to head to Wisconsin. Yeah, University of Wisconsin-Madison, America's top party school this year. According to a new report the Princeton Review puts out, every year, I guess, they figure out which school is the party school. The Badgers beat out last year's...
Because they have no fun at Princeton. They have nothing else to do but to wonder.
They're like, well,
how much fun they're having at
I'm
other
going to have an
schools.
awesome career eventually. I've got this, fabulous degree, but back to the books.
This is no fun
Nothing
at
going
all.
on here. Gonna go work on a study.
Muffy,
Who is
do you
having
hear
fun?
what they do in Wisconsin? Perhaps we should try that this evening.
Okay, so the Badgers beat out last year's biggest drinkers, University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. West Virginia is the second best school to get sauced at, followed by the University of Illinois. They're third place this year. So there you go. If that's the way you're choosing your school, you and Heidi would have a lot in common. Just saying. Do you remember the video the world was talking about maybe a month ago, Coke Baca? Do you remember that?
I have no clue.
It was a
what you're talking
Coca-Cola can being pushed across a desk, and it made the like the Chewbacca sounds.
Okay.
Well, now there's a new video out there. It's Chewbacca drawer. It's a drawer that when they open it, it goes, it opens like, if you want to see it, I've got a link because, right there, that's my level of intelligence at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Pokemon Go is still in the news. I'm not exactly sure why, but boy, it's in the news a lot. Now, it's because a driver playing Pokemon Go and driving a car at the same time smashed into a New Jersey police SUV.
Oh.
That's not good.
Not at all good.
Fortunately, nobody was in the cruiser at the time. The 42-year-old SUV driver was not injured. The man was cited for careless driving and other motor vehicle violations. And once again, he's 42 and was playing Pokemon Go. Don't you
How
have anything?
sad is
They
that?
have nothing better to do? I mean, come on,
Don't
man.
they have to go to work?
Apparently not. I don't know. I'm looking to see because I thought there was like another Pokemon Go story right down here somewhere. I was going to just try to get them all out of the way, but I don't see it now. So chances are we'll scroll along and I'll find that and we'll get to share another Pokemon Go story maybe tomorrow or something. But moving right along. 7-Eleven is experimenting with a Slurpee drone delivery system. Nothing could go wrong with that, I'm sure.
Okay.
Standing on the sidewalk and a Slurpee falls out of the sky and smacks you in the head. I just think this is a bad plan. I mean, if I want a Slurpee, I'll come in and see you. I don't need a drone to deliver it to me.
How lazy do you have to be
I don't
to
know.
say, I could really go for a Slurpee? I wonder if they'll deliver Slurpees and snacks.
Right through my window with a drone. I just don't think it's a good plan. Scientists say spouses share a surprising amount of DNA. I thought you looked familiar. So we share a lot of DNA, according to this. Now, the thing that's interesting, I remember when we first met, there were a lot of similarities. Like, we started talking about, even though we had never met before, we grew up in different states, there were so many things that were just, like, instantly familiar, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I could see that. There's, according to scientists, spouses share a surprising amount of DNA. So that's a very interesting thing. And our final little tidbit during our scoop of the day today. There is a real psychological condition that makes Instagram users feel that they're not attractive.
Oh.
So that's why I'm not on Instagram.
I don't use Instagram.
We're too attractive to be on Instagram. No, that's not it at all. All right. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest coming up. Madelon Curtis going to be talking about her new movie that is on the way on the John and Heidi Show this Wednesday.
John and Heidi.
Whether you're following the election or not, you understand that it impacts you. And this will be a historic election. The mainstream media has their own spin on who's going to win, but PoliticalStorm.com lets you chime in. You can keep yelling at the TV if you want. See how that works out. Or truly voice your opinion and have it heard at PoliticalStorm.com. Be informed from several different sources all in one place. Watch videos, listen to podcasts like mine, and read fun editorials to engage your brain. You have a choice, and now you have a voice, too, at PoliticalStorm.com. That's PoliticalStorm.com. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We got a special guest joining us right now, Madeline Curtis. She's an actress and a dancer and a choreographer, and at one point even a professional cheerleader. And we're going to say hello to Madeline right now. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, John, for having me.
Well, we're excited to get a chance to visit with you here. Talk about an interesting life. Now, first of all, let's talk about your time as a professional cheerleader for the New England Patriots. How in the world did you get that gig?
Well, I was working in New York, and I actually did it on a dare from a boyfriend. who said, "Well, you're a ballet dancer. I don't think you can dance like those girls." That's when the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders had just come on the scene in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I just didn't tell anybody, and I was working in New York, and I got on the plane, and I went up to Boston, and I auditioned, and I made the squad, and that's how that happened. So it was my, after being such an academic and being in school, I just thought, well, this would be a lot of fun to do, and I really had a ball. I met all the players, and they didn't go to the Super Bowl that year, but it was still a lot of fun to be on the field with all the guys.
Now, it's fun because in addition to that, now most people, just having that page in their book of their life would be enough because it's I had a chance to do something cool. But that wasn't enough for Madelon. You had some other really cool stuff you've had a chance to do as well. For those of you who remember the Friday the 13th movies, you were in one of those movies, weren't you?
Yes, and I got killed by Jason in Friday the 13th, Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. And I played a cop. It wasn't a very large part, but it was a lot of fun. And I got to work with Kane Hodder, who played Jason, and it was just fun. It was way back in '93. It was one of the. It was Part 9, let's put it that way.
Well, and I'll tell you, that is a film series that has, when I say a cult following, I mean it in the proper sense of the term, a cult following in a good way, but, there's some people that might think, oh, no, they got a cult following in a bad way. But there are people who absolutely love that film franchise, and to be connected with that alone would be enough for many people. But you've got many other really cool things, like a movie that you were just recently a part of that was just in theaters in January, Caged No More. This movie has an opportunity to have a huge impact on a kind of a serious topic, doesn't it?
Right. This movie deals with the very sensitive and very disturbing subject of human trafficking. And it is a movie that a lot of kids, especially and parents, should probably see together because it actually will start the conversation at home where, it's so easy for these kids with social media today to be prey into this kind of lifestyle. And there's story after story. It's kind of like after I did the movie, which was filmed in Louisiana and Greece, I started just hearing story after story, even locally around where I live, about human trafficking problems. And, big times like the Super Bowl or, conventions. You don't think about it. You think it's something that happens in foreign countries, but it doesn't. It happens right here at home. And this was a wonderful movie, really well done. And people should look at the website, which is www.CagedNoMoreMovie.com. They're willing to come, the producer and director. You can bring it to your church. You can bring it to your school, college, group, and they'll see the movie. And it's just a really, really good movie. It's available now on DVD. And probably eventually will be on Netflix, too, I would assume.
Well, hopefully I'm not going to ruin anything by telling people this, but Madelon, you're on the bad guy team in this movie, aren't you?
Yes, I'm really playing evil Greek madam who runs a bordello. Pretty scary. People have met me afterwards and said, you're really nice. You were so mean in that movie.
I say you're a very good actress because I can tell just from visiting with you that you're not that at all, but you do a very good job pretending to be. Now, in this film, you speak another language besides English. So how many languages do you speak?
Well, I'm 100% Greek-American, so I grew up speaking fluent Greek. I'm third generation, grew up in the Boston area. And then I actually, in college, I majored in French literature, so I became fluent in French. I lived in Paris junior year, and I studied in Paris. And then I did a lot of ballet, so I danced over there, and I danced in New York. And so fluent in two languages, French and Greek, and, of course, English. And I also love academics. I have 3 or 4 graduate degrees in different subjects. So I'm ever learning, and I have a wonderful husband and a wonderful German Shepherd dog. And I do a lot of acting now. I do musical theater, a lot of musical theater. I sing and dance, both ballet and jazz and hip-hop and tap and all of them. Done a lot.
A lot of fun stuff. Again, Madelon Curtis is who we're visiting with right now. Her new movie is out on DVD right now. It's called Caged No More. the neat thing about this is one of the many faith-based films that have been just really, I think, a huge impact on the movie industry over the last probably 4 or 5 years, to have some really good Christian films. And this is a Christian company that put this together, because the subject line, again, when you're talking about human trafficking, this is a very serious subject matter, but they wanted to show, hey, this is kind of how this is, and it's kind of a warning to make sure that you're prepared and your family knows how to act and your kids know how to act to hopefully not get wrapped up in this kind of thing.
Absolutely, because a lot of time the lures that these people use are just another teenager meeting another teenager at the mall. It's not like the boogeyman coming. It's another. They send out a young girl who befriends another young girl, and next thing you know, they're disappeared.
Yeah.
I've heard story after story. It's very sad, and it's one of those things you just don't think about. But these predators, they'll go after things like that.
Well, the movie, once again, is called Caged No More. Our guest today has been Madeline Curtis. Now, if you want to know more about the movie, I'm going to give you the website that you can go to, and you can see all of the details right on here. It's CagedNoMoreMovie.com. Pretty simple, CagedNoMoreMovie.com. And like Madeline was saying, if maybe your church would be interested in doing an event in the community and say, hey, we'd like to invite people in, you can work right through this website to get all the details on how to do that. And that would be a really great way to have an impact on your local community. So, Madeline, thank you again for taking some time to chat with us today. It's been a lot of fun to catch up.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, John.
And again, Madeline Curtis, and if you'd like to know more about her, I'll give you her website as well. It's fascinating because you're one of the most interesting people I've ever talked to, to be a professional cheerleader in Friday the 13th movies, speak all these languages, all of this fun stuff. I'm like, all of that from one person? That's really cool. And her website is MadelonCurtis.com. Again, thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This is Richard Lustig, the world's first and only 7-time lottery game grand prize winner. Since I endorsed Lottolicious, I have won something every single draw. They do all the work. You don't have to worry about running to the store to buy your tickets. They take care of all that. So if you're looking for the best way to play the lottery, to give yourself the best chance of winning, go to RadioLottoPool.com and join today. Again, that website is RadioLottoPool.com.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Today is National Tug of War Day. Well, tug of war used to be an Olympic event. Guess how many years it was an Olympic event?
How many?
20. From 1900 to 1920. And finally, in 1921, somebody said, wait a minute, seriously? This is an Olympic event? Hey, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
In America, 38% of our doctors are from India. East India is where they're coming from. 38%. That is an amazing number.
Crazy.
That is. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Every square inch of the human body has about 19 million skin cells, each one of us.
Oh, crazy.
I'm going to start writing mine off during my taxes. They're dependents. A lot of skin cells. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Dieting can cause bad breath. You know why?
What is that?
Less saliva is produced, and that leads to dry mouth. So, there you go. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The Earth's atmosphere is proportionally thinner than the skin of an apple. Wow.
Huh.
And our final fun fact for you.
What's that, John?
Honolulu boasts the only royal palace in the United States because they never used to be a state. So when they became a state, they didn't knock down their royal palace.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Coming up, got some more fun stuff to share on a Wednesday edition of The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Email marketing is affordable and a proven way to grow your business. If it's done right, you can stay in contact with your customers to let them know when you have new things to offer. You stay in control the whole time, too. You decide when the messages are sent, and you decide what is being said, so you're constantly in control of your business image. You can do this, but don't try it on your own. Team up with one of the biggest names in email marketing, Constant Contact. Sign up for a free trial right now at radiosavings.com. Sign up now at radiosavings.com.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. It's easy to color your hair these days. I mean, there are a lot of people that do you even know what your original hair color is, Heidi?
Yes.
You do know? Okay. But
do you see all this gray? This is my original hair color.
But I'm saying you change your hair. And I remember when you started doing that, by the way. We were out visiting your cousin, who was a hairstylist at the time, and she said your hair was mousy. the heck does mousy mean? She goes, well, you should change your hair. And you're like, why? And you're like, well, your hair's kind of mousy. What?
It means dull.
I just don't. I thought that was an interest. Is that an insult?
Yes,
mousy.
it's an insult. It's not a compliment. That's for sure.
Anyway, your hair looks beautiful, but a lot of people are changing their hair. And if you don't want to change your hair, maybe you want to keep your hair the way it is, but you want to figure out how you can look the best with the hair you have. If you're a redhead, you're supposed to wear colors that complement red tones, like deep beige, green, and peach. It says here it'll help bring out the good parts of the red in your hair. If you're a brunette, you're supposed to wear yellow. Yellow is very flattering for brunettes. Pale brunettes should not wear light blue because it gives you an orange-yellow tint. Dark reds are also a good choice. If you're a blonde, purple clothing will augment your complexion, while bright yellow ones will tone down your hair. Wearing clashing orange can make your hair look dull and faded. Blue-green shades are the most flattering for blondes. So there you go. So if you don't want to change your hair...
So why they have so many suggestions for blondes, and like if you're a light brunette, which is what I am.
Yeah.
Just don't wear this color. Then tell me really what colors I should be wearing to help with my mousy, horrible hair.
You should just wear sweatpants. Right?
Don't bother going anywhere. There's no help.
Nobody will even notice. Are you a fan of Birkenstocks? Get some of those and you'll be set. Coming up, we're going to talk about a priceless book that is on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
If you're in business, you need a website. Come on, it's 2016. Do you think this internet thing is not going to catch on? Many business owners that don't have a website think it's just too expensive. Well, now it's not. You can get a website for a few $100s, not thousands of dollars that are charged elsewhere. We can help you set up and design the site and then turn you loose to manage it, or we can help you manage the site for just a tiny bit more. Learn about this special radio offer right now at radiosavings.com. Get an extra $50 off if you sign up this month at radiosavings.com.
In the days of Edward I, who ruled England in the 13th century, the price of a fairly well-written Bible was £37. That was about $184 in like today's standards. Now, the hire of a laborer was a penny and a half a day. The purchase of a copy of the Bible would have taken such a person 4,800 days to write, which is about 13 years. And 55 days, so 13 years and 55 days of continuous writing, something more than 15 years and 3 months of constant labor would have been required to save up enough to buy a Bible. So you'd spend over 15 years saving up to buy a Bible back then. And nowadays, we take them for granted.
Wouldn't it be cool to have one of those original copies of the Bible?
I don't know, because handwritten, I think it'd be hard to read. We have things so easy now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all printed in a way that you can read it. You can even click on a digital version and read it that way and highlight stuff and, click a button and have it explain things to you.
But isn't it cool that back then people were so dedicated that they would do that?
Yeah,
in order to get
$184
their hands on a copy?
So 13 years of working to afford a Bible, which is just crazy.
That's really cool.
I think we should treasure ours a little more than we do. Coming up, if you're having a baby, you might want to have a hankering for some fish. We'll tell you why fish is good for your baby diet in a bit.
John and Heidi.
When you were pregnant with our kiddos, did you eat a lot of fish?
No.
No? Why not?
Because I just didn't.
You don't eat a lot of fish?
I don't eat a ton of fish. No, I like fish. But
a new study has found 3-year-olds whose mamas ate fish while they were pregnant with them scored better on several tests of a cognitive function than those whose mothers avoided fish. However, you have to be careful what kind of fish, because the study found that children of women who had more mercury in their body, those kids did worse on the tests. While the fish contained harmful mercury, it also contained the beneficial omega-3 fatty acids. While eating fish, pregnant women should avoid large fish with longer lifespans like tuna and swordfish because they have more mercury.
Yeah.
So could you just have like the omega-3 fish tablets, do you think, instead of eating the fish?
Probably. I took prenatal vitamins that had all of that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
see, that explains. That's why our kids are so brilliant. See, there you go. That explains it all right there. Coming up, we've got another story about children and what you can expose them to in a good way. That's all on the way.
John and Heidi.
Whether you're following the election or not, you understand that it impacts you, and this will be a historic election. The mainstream media has their own spin on who's going to win, but PoliticalStorm.com lets you chime in. You can keep yelling at the TV if you want, see how that works out, or truly voice your opinion and have it heard at PoliticalStorm.com. Be informed from several different sources all in one place. Watch videos, listen to podcasts like mine, and read fun editorials to engage your brain. You have a choice, and now you have a voice too at PoliticalStorm.com. That's PoliticalStorm.com. Kind of got a theme going here lately. The end of this program, we just talked about how important it is to have fish if you're pregnant, but you have to have the right fish. And now we're talking about this. New research has shown that children who are exposed to dust and farm animals have healthier lungs and are less prone to getting asthma. So as soon as those kids are born, put them to work working on a farm somewhere.
There you go.
Well, maybe not that. Research revealed that being in constant contact with the microbes of farm animals and dust helped build an immune system for your children. It's been hypothesized that early exposure to the microbes in the first few years of a child's life will help protect them from asthma. The study of the Amish and Hutterite farming communities from Indiana and North Dakota focused on two groups due to their common ancestry, customs, and lifestyles. The only primary difference is the Amish still use traditional farming methods like cows and horses for milking and transportation and fieldwork. The Hutterites, on the other hand, have gone modern and utilized machinery. But they have discovered that in both of these groups who have children that are exposed to farm animals and, you know, the air and the dust that you find on a farm, have a very small number of kids with asthma. So that's really kind of a cool thing. So especially if maybe you come from a family where, you know, asthma is more prevalent, first of all, I would talk to a physician and make sure that's cool. But you might want to just take a little stroll out in the country once in a while. You know, get out of town and get some of that fresh country air. You know, even if you're not out there, you know, throwing bales and stuff. Can't expect the kids to do that. But even if you're just out there with the windows down, I wonder if that might help. So there you go. You can read the entire report. I've got that all listed at Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
And our final story today, we always try to come up with something that's positive, and I think this is positive. This is a good story here, Heidi.
Okay.
First of all, I got to ask you, how do you feel about rhinos? Rhinoceroses. Do you like rhinoceroses?
Yeah. They're the only dinosaurs still walking the planet.
They're not dinosaurs.
Rhinoceros. It's a
a
saurus.
Rhinoceros?
It's a saurus. It's a rhinoceros.
Okay. Well,
it is. They're dinosaurs.
Okay. The rhinoceros, as Heidi puts it.
And they look like dinosaurs if you think about it. They could be a form of a dinosaur.
There you go. Well, a South African rhino farmer has a wild suggestion that has some people freaking out. He's suggesting a different plan for saving the rhinos. John Hume, he owns more than 1,300 rhinos, by the way. He's a rhino farmer.
Okay.
He says rhinos would live longer if their horns were periodically cut and sold. Because the reason rhinos are killed in the wild is because their horns are worth so much, so they kill them and cut off the horn. But he's saying, rhinos are docile, even friendly, and the highest court in South Africa is preparing to decide whether to uphold the country's domestic ban on trading rhino horns. Private rhino owners like Hume contend that meeting the demand for horns is the best way to curb poaching and save the species. He says if you cut them the right way, they grow back. If they're not fully removed from the animal, like the way that they would do it on a rhino farm, they grow back. So it's like, you know, shearing a sheep. You know, you don't shear it once and throw it away.
If that hurts them, though.
I have no idea. It's hair. The rhino horn is made out of hair. Oh. It's a different kind of hair. But he says he regularly trims the horns on his, and they've stockpiled 5 tons of rhino horns. Huh. And these are horns that, you know, again, they do it the right way, so they grow back. It's what do you call it when you something that replenishes itself? It's like green, but there's a name for it. bamboo is that? What is it called?
What are you talking about?
I feel like I'm playing that game show from the 70s.
We'd be funny on one of those shows.
I can only imagine how awful that would be. Anyway, there's a word for it. We're going to just pretend like we know what it was and move on. I've got this whole story, by the way, at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. I'm going to think about that word. Maybe I'll have it for you tomorrow. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.